another episode of the Minding My Temple podcast, and I am your host, Tasha Temple. And just so you guys know, Minding My Temple is the space where life meets balance, because I'm all about making sure we have everything we need so that we can balance our lives effectively. It's not about restriction, it's not about eliminating, it's about how do we fit in all of the things that are on our plates, literally, like on our food plates, and then on our life plates as well. So today, we're gonna dive all the way into plant-based eating and vegetarian lifestyle. And the reason I wanna talk about that is because plant-based and vegetarian have gotten so popular, especially when we're talking about navigating through the pandemic, because a lot of people wanted to talk about how do I get healthier. And so as we're talking about getting healthier, plant-based foods became more of a forefront of the topic. And then vegetarian also became a topic and a thing. And so I'm going to give you guys the differences, the similarities, just so you know the difference or know what they are, know how to follow them, give you tips on how to start if you want to start, and just give you the nitty gritty on all about plant-based eating and a vegetarian lifestyle. But first, without further ado, we're going to jump into my favorite segment I call Minding My Business. Now, this is the segment where we talk all about self-care and tending to ourselves, because I like to live by the motto that if I can't mind my own business, I daggone sure don't be needing to mind yours. And actually, I don't even need to be minding yours, but I need to tend to my own self and make sure that I'm okay on a regular basis so that I can go out here and be the best person I can be. So I'm a big proponent on folks minding their business. So I'm gonna let you guys know what I'm up to mind my business this week. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm also a farmer and co-owner of a nonprofit farm here in Atlanta, Georgia. My nonprofit farm is called Grape Roots. We also have a podcast called The Turn Up. And we like to teach kids how to grow, eat, and sustain. That's our motto. So we grow healthy-based, organic, local foods so that people can eat healthy and balanced, and we can also support sustainability in the community and environment. And this week, we are finally putting plants in the ground. I'm so excited. You guys have no idea. The weather has been super crazy here in Atlanta and in the South. And so it's been really cold throughout the beginning of spring. And a lot of our summertime crops are planted in the spring months. So I'll give you an example. So tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, eggplant, that stuff that you see that you're able to harvest, meaning pick off the vine. Harvest just means it's ready to be picked. That stuff that you can pick off the vine in the summertime needs to be planted in the springtime, so it has time to grow. However, we were late. So I literally just put out over the weekend cucumbers, finally. They have been growing inside of the house for months now, and I'm like, these little cucumbers are gonna outgrow their little pots, and I need to go outside and in the ground ASAP. So I'm super excited that I finally have cucumbers in the ground, but I'm also super grateful that it's been chilly outside because I planted my leafy greens too late. So leafy greens are things like kale, spinach, lettuce, collard greens, cabbage. And if you think about how those things taste, they're crispy, like they should be crunchy and crispy. And what gives those vegetables their crisp is the fact that it's chilly outside. So the chill of the air and the cold of the weather actually keeps those vegetables crispy. They wilt in the summertime when it's warm. And so I actually have somewhat appreciated the cool weather over the past few weeks during the spring, because I was able to put in the ground collard greens, I put down cabbage, I put down bok choy, which I love. I also put down kale and lettuce, and they're growing great. So what I'm up to this week is basically gardening and growing my own food. And you know, it's really important these days to start to learn where our food comes from, especially since a lot of the food in our grocery stores isn't exactly what they say it is a lot of the time. And then who knows how they're growing it and what tactics they're using. Like, I like to know what I'm putting in my body. And so I do my best to know where my food comes from, and I do my best to eat locally, and I do my best to buy local, especially when we're talking about, fruits and vegetables. And I also love to buy organic. And I know organic can be expensive. However, I like to buy a lot of organic frozen based fruits and vegetables because they are a lot less expensive. And then of course, when we're growing things at Grape Roots, I do take them home and make them and cook them and all that jazz. And so I think that's really important, and it ties into what we're talking about today, because we're going to be talking about plant-based eating, and we're going to talk about living a vegetarian lifestyle. And for those of you guys who are interested in possibly growing your own fruits and vegetables, just holler at me, let me know, and I can give you all the tips. Or you can just go to the Turn Up, which is the podcast for the garden, and listen, to tips and suggestions and directions and just our experience of gardening and growing, organic and local. And so I think it's really important that we get back to the wholeness of food. I'm always talking about let's eat real food. And so this week I'm super excited because my cucumbers look amazing, you guys. They're like so cute, and they're growing so well already. They're strong. Their roots are just enormous. It's good when you have really good roots. And I'm just excited for what's to come. And so for those of you guys who are in Atlanta, Georgia, and you want to actually come support us, or you want to help us out, you can always find us on Instagram at Grape Roots Inc., or you can simply go to our website at www.graperoots.org. That's what I'm up to this week. I'm up to farming, I'm up to gardening, and I'm up to growing shit, or ish, or I said it, so I guess it's out there now. Well, let's get into plant-based eating. I have a whole lot of notes I've written out for you guys because I'm just not that good at remembering stuff. So I got to make sure I write things down because, yes, I'm getting older. I'll say that. But plant-based eating and vegetarian-based lifestyles are super, super, super popular. However, everybody's not following them in the way that is balanced and provides the right nutrients for your body. So let's get clear about how to really do plant-based and how to really do vegetarian, because a lot of times when we get into plant-based and vegetarian, a lot of junk foods kind of slide in there. So let's get clear about what they are and then how to follow them in a way that's balanced. Balanced is the key word. Remember, Minding My Temple is the space where life meets balance. So let's talk about how to fit it all in and still get all of the nutrients that you need, okay? So let's first talk about what's the difference between plant-based and vegetarian. Now, plant-based is an eating style that is primarily focused on plant-based foods. So if you think about plant-based foods, that's fruits and vegetables, right? So you're thinking about kale, collard greens, apples, oranges, strawberries, cabbage, broccoli, peppers, berries, melon. I mean, you think it. Everything that comes from a plant, right, or that you can grow would be considered something that would be included in plant-based eating, okay? There are additional foods that sometimes we don't think about that can be included in your plant-based diet or your plant-based eating style. So don't forget about nuts. Nuts are grown, yes. Where else did you think they come from? We grow nuts. That's how we get nuts. And seeds. So nuts and seeds will be things like almonds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. You got walnuts, you have cashews, you have pecans, you have pistachios, you got peanuts. I mean, you have a whole bunch of nuts and seeds, and those are grown, so those are also considered foods on a plant-based diet. You also have oils, because a lot of your oils come from where? Nuts and seeds. So you have olive oil. That actually comes from an olive, which is also grown, but you have almond oil, right? You have sunflower oil. You have vegetable-based oil. So your oils also come from vegetable-based or plant-based sources. So you have, so far, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and oils all come from plant-based options. We also have whole grains. Yes, grains are grown. So whole grains can include like whole wheat. It can also include oatmeal. It can include brown rice. It can include quinoa. It can include buckwheat. It can include grits. Like all of that stuff is considered whole grain, and we grow that. Again, we also have legumes and beans. Legumes and beans are like black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, refried beans, pink beans, navy beans, white beans, and there's so many different type of beans, you guys. And so plant-based foods don't just mean fruits and vegetables. They mean fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, oils, whole grains, legumes, and beans. So basically, what this means for you is we're just not talking about animal-based products, because everything else we eat is plant-based except for meats, right? Like, what else did I not mention in that category of food that's not a meat? Everything else, what we eat. So basically plant-based is everything else we eat outside of the animal-based products. Now, plant-based does not mean that you don't eat animal-based products. Plant-based just means you focus most of your meals around the plant-based food options. If you guys follow me, I'm a big supporter of the plate method. So what the plate method is a way or an eating style that focuses on plants. So how you follow the plate method is you take a regular plate and you divide it into 3 different sections. You divide the plate in half, so you have 2 equal halves on the plate. And in one of those halves, you cut into a section that makes 2 quarters. So what you do is in that big section of the half, you fill it up with your vegetables. So again, half your meal right there is plant-based. And then you'll fill one of the quarters of those sections in with some type of carbohydrate. Carbohydrates can include whole grains, it can include fruit, it can include starchy vegetables. And so those 3 options from carbs are also plant-based. And so if you think about it, 3/4 of my plate are now plant-based, and that's what I'm talking about in regards to plant-based eating. So you still have protein on the plate, but majority of the plate comes from plants, and that's plant-based eating. So it just means you eat a small portion of animal-based products. Typically, most people that are following a plant-based lifestyle may choose your leaner-based meats, and all lean mean is less fat. So it doesn't mean you can't have beef. It doesn't mean you can't have pork. It doesn't mean you can't have chicken. It doesn't mean you can't have turkey. You're just going to select the leaner portions of those types of meat, or the leaner types of those types of meat. That's all plant-based means. Plant-based means most of your meals are going to be focused around the plant-based foods. And remember, those plant-based foods includes fruits, it includes vegetables, it includes nuts, it includes seeds, it includes whole grains, it includes legumes, and it includes beans. And of course, we use oils for cooking or for salad dressing or for little garnishments on the plate, right? Like, if an oil that can be a garnishment will be like an olive or avocado. So studies do show that following a plant-based lifestyle can reduce your risk of heart disease. And for those of you guys who don't know, the #1 cause of death in America is heart disease. So if this diet focused around plants reduces our risk of heart disease, we can also reduce our risk of mortality, and we can start to have these numbers slowly reduce, because just to be honest, heart disease is preventable. It's preventable, you guys, but we still are having these challenges with what we're figuring out in regards to foods and how they all balance in our lifestyles. And I just don't understand, if we can avoid from early death, we can avoid people having heart attacks at 40 and 50 and 30 and having strokes at 50 and 40 and 30, then why aren't we doing that? You guys should be sending everybody to the podcast to listen, right? Because we want our people to be around, and I want to be around, and I want y'all to be around. And so following a plant-based lifestyle actually reduces your risk of heart disease. It also reduces your risk of diabetes. It reduces depression, and it reduces your risk of cancers. And specific cancers that a plant-based diet reduces your risk of are colon cancer. And the reason for that is because if you eat more plant-based foods, that means you automatically get more fiber. Fiber is beneficial to using the bathroom more regularly and cleansing out the system. And so your colon is healthier. It also reduces your risk of breast cancer and prostate cancer. And to be honest, colon cancer, prostate cancer, and breast cancer are the 3 most popular cancers in the United States. again, back to those things that are prevalent in our community, which is heart disease, diabetes, and the cancers that I mentioned. And so if it just takes you adding more plant-based foods to your diet, let's do that, people. We can find different ways to flavor these things. We can find different ways to incorporate them in our diets, and I'm going to give them to you here in a second. But I do want to tell you guys that the best way to follow this diet is to follow a Mediterranean style diet. Now, Mediterranean means over there by Europe. When you're in Europe, and specifically in my experience, I went to Greece and had the best food ever. Let me tell you, they follow a Mediterranean diet, meaning it's mostly plant-based. They use a lot of your liquid-based healthy fats and oils. And they also have meat, but very limited amounts in quantity. And so when I say limited amounts, I'm just talking about 3 to 4 ounces. That's just a standard portion of meat. I'm not talking about like a finger size. I'm talking about more like your palm size. Take your palm, and that's how much you should be having at each meal. And so you want to make sure that everything else is full of your fruits and vegetables. And so in my experience of going overseas, specifically in my experience of going to Greece, because that's in the area that they like to identify as Mediterranean, I ate a whole lot. Like, I did not hold back on what I ate. I did not, not eat something. I ate till I was full and stuffed, and I came home 7 pounds less. And I ate so much. And it's because the food is primarily based around plants. So just so you know, this diet shows best as we age because it also helps us maintain our mental and physical function and strength. And so as we age, of course, we have a mental decline, we have a physical decline, but specifically the Mediterranean diet, which is a plant-based diet, is known to help us maintain our mental strength and our physical strength as we get older. So it's actually a very antioxidant-based diet, and antioxidants fight against the oxidants that make us age. So that is a plant-based diet. It doesn't mean I'm not eating meat. It doesn't mean that I can't have animal-based products. It just means that I'm focusing most of my meals around the plant-based foods. It's what I follow. I follow the plate method, and a lot of the times, especially when it's summertime, the plant-based foods I'm eating are the ones that I'm also actually growing, which makes me so excited because I love to eat what I grow. I love to eat my kids. So that's plant-based eating. So let's jump into vegetarian because they are different. Because if you notice in your plant-based eating style, you're still allowed to have meat-based products, and a vegetarian typically is not going to have animal or meat-based products in their lifestyle. So there are different types of vegetarian. Remember, plant-based is not vegetarian, but there are different types of vegetarian-based diets. So I'll go through them. So you have a semi-vegetarian, or the new term, flexitarian. It does include eggs. It includes dairy. It also includes occasional meat like poultry, fish, and seafood. So these people eliminate your beef, pork, red meats, but they still occasionally have fish, seafood, and poultry, which is chicken. And occasionally could be maybe 2 to 3 times a week. It could be 1 or 2 times a week, but not necessarily at every single meal. That would be a flexitarian, okay? There's also a pescatarian, that's with a P, if you're pushing P. A pescatarian also includes eggs, it includes dairy, and it includes fish and seafood, but pescatarians do not eat meat or poultry or turkey. They only eat your animals that live in the water. Now, you also have different types of vegetarian, okay? You have a lacto-ovo, you have a lacto, and then you have an ovo. So an ovo vegetarian eats eggs, but not anything else. A lacto vegetarian eats and drinks dairy-based products, but nothing else that's animal-based. And then you have a lacto-ovo, which will have dairy and eggs, but no other animal-based products. So those are the different types of vegetarian. Now, if you don't eat eggs and you don't eat dairy, right? And then you don't eat any meats, that's called vegan. And we're going to talk about that next time because that's a whole different topic. So remember, there are different types of vegetarian diets. You have flexitarian, you have pescatarian, and you have lacto-ovo vegetarian, you have lacto-vegetarian, and then you have ovo-vegetarian. So different people will follow different things. Everybody doesn't follow along the same lines. However, whatever floats your boat is good with me. Now, if you want to start on a plant-based diet, or if you want to start on a vegetarian-based diet, here are some tips on where you should start. Number one, you got to eat a lot of vegetables. So basically, specifically at lunch and dinner, you're going to fill half your plate with vegetables for the most part. Because the main word in vegetarian is veggie, which means you got to have vegetables. And the main word in plant-based diet is plant-based. So you got to have a lot of plants. So at lunch and dinner, like I stated earlier about the plate method, make sure you have half your plate with vegetables. And then there you go. That's where you start. So number two, you got to think about or change the way you think about meat. We are designed in this country to have large pieces of meat. Like you go to a place and you get like a whole quarter of a chicken, right? A whole half of a chicken, or you get a 12-ounce steak. Like we're so used to having so much meat, we have to start shifting our idea about what we think about meat. To be really honest, I don't care if you're tall, if you're short, if you're 200 pounds, if you're 400 pounds, if you're 100 pounds, if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're 18, if you're 40, if you're 60, your body's only designed to navigate through about 30 grams of protein in a sitting. A sitting, I would say, is a maximum of about 2 hours. And so if you're doing about 30 grams of protein, that's 3 to 4 ounces. 3 to 4 ounces is the size of your palm. Your body really can't do anything else with anything more than that. So what am I doing with a 12-ounce steak? Basically what happens is that rest of the meat outside of the 3 to 4 ounces converts to fat. Oh yeah, and you know where that goes. So what are we doing? Like, it doesn't make you stronger and give you more muscles. So we got to start thinking about having smaller amounts of protein and sticking to the standard portion size, especially if you're doing plant-based and including, small amounts of protein, or if you're doing that flexitarian or that pescatarian, you want to stick with a palm size, 3 to 4 ounces, and you want to make your meat a garnish, not a centerpiece, because remember, the centerpiece is going to be the vegetables. So number 3, you're going to choose fats that support your health. So when I say choose fats that support your health, you want to choose the ones that are going to be healthy or balanced for you, which are the liquid ones. So when you think about fats, if you see something that's white and hard, that's a fat that's going to clog your arteries, and it's not going to be beneficial to your health. It's going to increase your risk of heart disease, increase your risk of high cholesterol and stroke and all of that. So you want to get the liquid-based fats that move through the system, that don't get stuck. So that's things like olive oil or avocado oil, and nuts and seeds are healthy fats, and avocados are healthy fat, and olives are a healthy fat. So those are the things you want to choose when you're talking about adding fats. Adding fats is also going to be important on a plant-based or vegetarian-based diet because, of course, if you're having fruits and vegetables, those are really, really low in calories, and they're not going to keep you full as long as you probably would like to stay full for. So adding those fats keeps you feeling full even longer. So number 4, try to cook at least one completely vegetarian meal a week. That means not having any meat-based products. And so you can add dairy and or eggs if you choose, but you want to stay away from any of your animal-based meats like poultry, chicken, which is poultry, turkey, which is poultry. You can have beef, fish, any of that stuff. We want to try to avoid that at least one time a week. So we call it one meatless meal. Sometimes people have meatless Monday. So another thing you can do is you can include whole grains for breakfast, because remember, grains are plant-based and vegetarian-based because they do grow, and they are full of fiber. So if you think about starting your day feeling satisfied, it will reduce your hunger cravings throughout the day. And a lot of your grains have a lot of fiber, which make you feel full. And remember, it also reduces your risk of colon cancer. And, they will keep you satisfied longer. They will help balance your hunger. They will help decrease your cravings for the day. And if you want to add a really healthy fat to that whole grain in the morning, add some nuts. An example would be having oatmeal with nuts in it and some fruit. Plant-based, great filling breakfast. All right. And then also, if you add fruit to that, it's adding antioxidants. And I always talk about how great antioxidants are and how you cannot supplement those. And so the only way you can get them is if you actually eat the fruit and the vegetable. Now, another thing you want to do is go for the greens. Go for leafy greens. So leafy greens are power packed. They have all your vital nutrients. If you're looking for one great plant-based food that is all encompassing of like all your vitamins and all your minerals and a whole lot of antioxidants, they're always going to be your leafy greens. The leafy greens I really love to use are kale and spinach. Kale can be really hard on the stomach, so I like to saute it. And yes, I do saute it, and I do love spinach. I also like lettuce for salads. I really do like collard greens. I'm a collard green lover. I love cabbage. And so try all of your leafy greens because they are power packed. Also try to build your meals around a salad, because typically when we have a salad, like you fill it up with all these different types of vegetables, right? You put in lettuce, and you could put in tomato, you could put in cucumber, you could put in peppers, you can put in carrots. Like you can literally put any type of vegetable, and now you have the rainbow in your salad. And so if you base your meal around a salad, you know you're going to get it all the nutrients from all these different colors. And then also you get really full off salads because they are a raw vegetable, which means they're roughage and they have a lot of fiber in them. So they're going to make you feel super full. And so the other based foods, like your protein that you're going to put on it as the garnishment, you're not going to need as much because that salad is going to be filling and fill you up. So try to build your meal around a salad. Make the vegetable the base of your meal, or you can even do like a bowl, like a Mediterranean bowl, which I really love to eat. And you can also try like the quinoa bowls and things like that at your little local like health food, little fast food places. They have those all the time. Another thing you can do to increase your vegetable intake, or if you're trying to follow a plant-based diet or a vegetarian-based diet, is to eat fruit as your dessert. A lot of your desserts are made with animal-based products like butter. And so if you want to try a really healthy or a really balanced based dessert, try having fruit. So berries are really great for a dessert based option. Or what I really like to do is I like to actually bake peaches and apples and throw cinnamon and vanilla on them. When you bake them, it brings out the sweetness in them automatically. And so I like to put, sometimes apples and peaches in the oven, bake them. Oh my God, it's just so good. I love them. And you can add little things to that as well. And I like mango, I like pineapple. And so always having a little bit of fruit for your dessert can satisfy your sweet tooth. It can also help you follow your plant-based diet. They're low in calories. And so that also helps with those who are out there monitoring their weight or trying to lose weight as well. So the goal is, in regards to plant-based eating and vegetarian-based eating, is to fill up on all these plant-based foods so that you increase your fiber intake. Because if we're reducing the amount of animal-based or meat-based products we're eating, that may leave you feeling a little more hungry. But if we're adding more fruits and vegetables that have a lot of fiber, the fiber from those is what's going to keep you satisfied and keep you full. So don't worry about if you're going to feel hungry or not. Now, I have a couple of meal ideas for you guys for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you want to start trying a plant-based or vegetarian-based lifestyle. So first of all, if you want to try oatmeal for breakfast, it gives you some rolled oats. You want to use nut milk. I like to use almond milk, but you can use cashew milk. That's also available, or some type of plant-based milk. You also have coconut milk. You have, rice milk. There's different types of milk that are plant-based. So if you want to do a half a cup of rolled oats, a cup of your milk of choice, you can put walnuts in there for omega-3. You can do half a banana with cinnamon and vanilla. That's an option for a plant-based breakfast. You can also do a breakfast wrap. So get a whole wheat tortilla and you can wrap that with 2 eggs cooked any style that you like. You can put a fourth or a half a cup of black beans in that with peppers, onions, your choice of cheese. If you want to do cheese, remember, if it's an animal-based product and you're not doing animal-based products, you can get vegan or vegetarian-based cheese, and you can use hot sauce or salsa in there, okay? Now for lunch, you can try a Greek salad. And so a Greek salad would include chopped mixed greens with a tomato, olives, parsley, cucumber, feta cheese. Remember, cheese is an animal-based product, so if you are doing vegetarian, you might have to find some feta cheese that is not animal-based. But you want to use olive oil, remember that healthy fat, and balsamic vinegar as your dressing. And you can try to get a pita on the side and fruit for dessert. And an option for dinner could be my favorite. You could do a veggie-based pizza because I love pizza. You could try to put some mozzarella cheese, but remember, cheese is an animal-based product. There is vegan, vegetarian-based cheese if you want to use that. You can load it with veggies. Try to get a thin-based crust. You can do 2 slices, and then for your dessert for that, you can do some fresh berries. So those are just some options on how you can start off your plant-based eating, just some ideas. If you need further ideas, you can reach out to me. You can email me at findbalance@mindingmytemple.com, or you can always check me out on Instagram. You can find me at mindingmytemple, and I'm going to start posting meals and food so that you guys have all the information there. So make sure you follow. And other than that, it's the Minding My Temple podcast. and we're out. Get your vegetables.